Got a reel-to-reel in from a client who decided to change their own heads, and changing heads on a reel-to-reel is something I would normally not do because I don't have factory alignment tapes for proper alignment, and I don't have some of the jigs that companies like Sony used to actually set the rough alignment. So I would shy away from it, but it's here. The heads have been changed. I've been asked if I can get it working, so let's check it out. Today I have this beautiful old Sony TC850. This is basically a 3-head, plus it has an additional half-track 2-channel head for playback of half-track tapes. This one here, the owner of this unit changed the heads themselves and has had a problem trying to get the heads realigned. So that's what we're going to attempt to do today, is to do an alignment of the heads. Unfortunately, I don't have the jigs that Sony had when they did these things in the shop. I remember when I worked for Sony, we had one guy that his only job was to work on reel-to-reels, and he did nothing else other than reel-to-reels. And he had these fancy jigs that he would put on the head block to aid in getting the alignment at least close. Now the owner of this unit here, some of the screws were stripped, and they've taken the screws out and replaced them with other screws. I don't know if that's going to be problematic or not. I know that I looked at this thing when this has been sitting here for a while, and I initially looked at it and determined that the tape is not even making contact with the record head. So I just kind of put it aside at that point, because if I remember from my last peek at this, it was the record head. The tape is actually not making contact with the record head. Anyway, let's get the scope hooked up, and I'm going to do an alignment of the playback head, which is actually something I did back about 3 or 4 months ago when I first got this thing in the shop. So the diagonal line, that's my reference, and I'm going to adjust the head so that I can get the playback of the 2 channels in phase. And once they're in phase, it'll line up like that. That's the first thing. Once I've got the playback head lined up, then I'll do the same, but I'll align the record head to the playback head. So basically record a tone and watch it on playback. I'm never going to get it exact because I don't have I'm not monitoring the actual record head. I'm going to monitor it off the playback circuit. So I'm going to get it close, but I don't have the jigs anyway. So the only thing I've noticed on here is that one of the meters is off by a couple of dB. We know that that's correct because if I adjust the individual levels, if I adjust the meters, for example, so that they're both reading 0 dB, you'll see a shift here between my reference and the other channel because the levels are a little different, right? As I change the level of one, it will show up on the scope. If I change the level of the other, it'll affect the entire amplitude. So when both of them are at the same level, both the static line as well as the phase shift, we know that our outputs are a similar or same level when they're both lining up. So if one is off one way or the other, it will affect the waveform. Variations, you see, these are just the tape itself, just wear on the tape and levels shifting as the tape passes over the heads. You're never going to be perfect on analog. That's the whole thing with analog, is that things will change as that tape pulls over the heads. There will be very slight phase shifts along the way. We want to try and get the phase shift minimized between the two so that we end up with just a straight diagonal line. That's what we're looking for. Here's my 1 kilohertz tone again. It's pretty darn close. One of the things I don't recommend people changing the heads on their machines without reason, because without factory alignment tapes, which I don't have, I've got tapes that I can make on my own machine that is still factory calibrated, that has never been messed with, and all the heads have been factory sealed, but it's as close as I can get without a factory alignment tape is what I'm getting here. And I don't recommend people change the heads on their machine just for the sake of changing the heads when they're rebuilding a machine, because the alignment of the factory heads probably was better than what you're going to get when you change them out. The head that came off this machine, I've got one of the old heads here, has the slightest amount of wear on it, but we'll get this thing as close as I can. I got to do the record head next, which means I have to load a blank tape up and put a tone generator on it and calibrate the record head to the play head. And herein lies the problem. You see, tape is threaded up now. Got the tape under tension, and the tape is not making contact with the record head. Whoops. I don't want to do that. Stop. I have the tape lifter up, so it's not going to lift the tape away, but as you can see, the tape here is not making good contact with the record head. It's actually making very poor contact. I don't think there's anything on this tape, so we can make a recording on here, and I'll show you what I mean. So let me just get this thing from some volume. We'll go to tape. I got it set for 0 dB, and we'll record this at 7.5, I guess. Record, and you watch what happens. See? So therein lies the problem. The head block is lifted away by removing these screws. And it just unplugs like that. So here's the head block. So somewhere on this block, this head is not low enough. This is the piece that I was referring to, that the reel-to-reel tech, he had a jig that it fit into, but since I didn't work on reel-to-reels, I didn't really pay much attention. I was never trained by Sony for reel-to-reel stuff. It was Betamax is what I worked on. Now the head itself is basically held on by 2 screws, which are these screws here, is what holds the head in place. If the mounting base, which doesn't appear to have been moved, if the mounting base is in the correct position, then if it's the right head, it should be correct as far as mounted on this, because I remember when the fellow that was doing the reel-to-reels, he was doing the alignment of the base plate. It's what he was aligning with the jig. The jig fit on it, and these base plates that go under the head here, these are what were being set up. So looking at this, it doesn't look like they've been tweaked. Like, it looks like the paint is still intact. So it may be just that it wasn't sitting properly on the main post. Either that or this is out of alignment. I see paint here that's been taken off. Red paint that's come off of something.
Looks like that roller is too low, you know.
We're getting there. We're not quite there yet, but at least I've got my levels. At least I've got my levels getting to where they need to be. I'm gonna go back and we're gonna check the, I'm gonna get my tone tape out, check the playback alignment, and then we'll just double check this record. Again, I got a signal generator here is about all I have for generating a signal. I don't have a factory alignment tape, so I doubt that I'm going to be able to get this thing absolutely perfect. But we'll have to work with what we work with. As I say, I would never change a head. If someone came to me and said, "Can you change a head for me?" I would say, "No, I'm not doing it," because as I say, it's getting it perfect is without the factory alignment tape is, I'm not going to say impossible, but it's a lot of work to try and get it. What I found on this, I just want to show you guys. Remember when we opened this up, there was paint in here. That paint had come off that screw had been adjusted, and that screw is what affects the positioning of this roller. So the roller was sitting too far forward, and that was pulling the tape away from the head. So I just adjusted that slightly, which moved the roller back. It's actually adjusted through this hole here. That moved this roller back out of the way so that it's not pushing the tape away from the record head. And that brought my levels up. Other than that, I really haven't done much on this other than tweak the I guess it's zenith. The azimuth on this is preset by this screw here, the height, and you can adjust your skewing back and forth this way. This head's really only adjustable on 2 planes. Well, you can adjust the azimuth with these screws here, but I haven't touched them. I need very small Allen keys for those, which I don't have, so I can't adjust those. So I've got it not bad sounding now at 15 IPS. We'll listen to playback at 15 IPS. So there's the source. And there's playback. At 15 IPS, it's sounding pretty good. Let's see how 7.5 IPS sounds. Not quite as bright, but again, is not a very good tape that I'm using. It's a very, very old. This is probably 50-year-old tape that I brought on this thing. Okay, I've got a recording here. This was made on my own deck. Let's see how this one sounds. So we're going to try another recording here. We're going to do this one at the 15 IPS for the best quality. Record. This is Playback. Play around with the echo. That should be good enough. Where I was playing with the echo. It's probably as good as I'm going to be able to get this thing, considering that I don't have any factory alignment tapes. And I can't tweak the azimuth screws here, as I don't have the right size. It's a hex key that was used, and I don't have one. So there's no way I can touch those. I have to assume that they're correct and that nobody's been monkeying with them. If they haven't been fiddled with, they should be good. The same with this screw here, wasn't fiddled with. So basically, I said to adjust the actual tilt on the head back and forth and adjust that roller that was down too low and was actually pulling the tape away from the head. That's about all I had to do on this one, and that's about all I am going to do on this one. Here's the 7.5 speed. This is Playback right up on the tape mode. A little bit loud. Anyway, I'm going to leave this one at that. That's as far as I'm going to go on this machine. there you go. TC850. Say it, not sounding too bad considering that I'm recording on a Bell Clear tape. That they cost on this was it's Audio Magnetics, by the way, who made this tape. Which Audio Magnetics actually made pretty good tapes, but it's just the age of this tape. They paid 52 cents for this tape, and I have no idea when it was made, but I can tell you right now, it's old. It's probably 50 years old. For a 50-year-old tape, I would say that this thing actually did a pretty good job on it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye.